we're talking about new revenue generators, new revenue opportunities, and ultimately how they're enabled by big data and analytics, right? So what I'd like to do is we've got a great panel here. Sort of go a couple of, Yoshi, that was great, many examples of how there's some new revenue opportunities. What I'd like to do is go one by one, maybe do a little small case study of each company here. So if you would introduce yourselves, say a little bit about your business and the new revenue opportunities you see as a telco, and we'll go from there. So I'll just take it sort of left to right, if we would.
I'm Jack Norris. I'm an SVP with MapArt Technologies. We're an enterprise software company. We provide a converged data platform. So I could go into the technology, which is converging file and database and streams and document store, but you could think of it as a way to collect and monetize data. And in the telco examples, what we're taking is providing analytics and operational data really so companies can impact business as it happens. So you're moving from analytics as a reporting and a historical function to actually including it to make small adjustments. So one example is a large US media company. They've got 40 million subscribers. They've got set-top boxes. What they're doing is tracking all of the interactions with the set-top box. They're taking that data and they're doing real-time ad insertions based on the demographics, kind of the behavior, et cetera. And they're basically providing these different ad products on a nationwide basis to different advertisers. So that's one example of kind of analytics kind of changing the customer experience. And there's broad examples of that, everything from ad media to these type of organizations. And they're setting themselves up for a multi-screen world where the volume now increases substantially beyond the 40 million screens. Another example, I'll just give two and then we'll move on.
Yeah, let's do that.
Is to combine the analytics with some of the network information to customize the kind of product. So it's not necessarily customer facing, but we've got a large global supplier for most of the world's mobile operators. And they have the analytic platform deployed so that they can take and fine-tune SLAs and have different experience, different product level by target, by type, et cetera. And they're also rolling out something that's kind of cuts in between, which is a content delivery network that combines both. How do you optimize the delivery of the content, and then how do you customize that for individuals? And I think that's, you know, as we sit here today, understanding the payload and building new services on top of that, particularly on a business-to-business setting, whether it's IoT and sensor-based or what have you, represents the future.
Okay. So Yoshi, a couple of points out of your presentation, the idea that B2B2B and B2B2C would be the main business models, and that revenue share was a much bigger piece of the pie even than the business today, correct? I mean, that's kind of shocking when you think about it. It's also big mindset change for an operator. Yep. So I'm curious, as SoftBank's moved down that path, where are you in that path today, and what are some of the challenges to move from subscription-based and customer-facing into a revenue share environment?
Yes, sure. Yes, as you know, so telco have been enjoying a subscription model. So even so customer use data or not, so we enjoy the revenue from customers. But the data traffic is flattening. And MVNO or a low-cost carrier is getting into this market. Then, so revenue share model is a challenge. But the customer's mind is, hey, so IoT is very fantastic, but what is the benefit for us? What is incremental revenue? What is the cost reduction? That's it, period. Yes. Then, so we guarantee so revenue incremental or cost reduction. If we get 100, so get 50-50 or 70-30, yes, it's depending on the business. So it's going to be a huge revenue opportunity rather than the model 1, 2.
Okay, great. Very good. Thank you. So, Brian?
Yeah, my name is Brian Huey. I'm from Sprint. I'm in our IoT business development group. I've been in the group for about 6+ years. Sprint as itself has been connecting IoT devices for better part of about 17 years. Before IoT, it was called machine-to-machine. Before machine-to-machine, it was called telemetry, and before that, it was called packet data. So we've been doing this for quite a bit. Yeah, thank you. Well, actually, that was previous, but I'm dating myself a bit. But I work specifically in smart grids, smart energy, home automation, building automation. And then you get into water and gas as well, the ancillary markets or smart city. To answer your question, so carriers have been involved with kind of revenue share programs. I think the first real foray into that was the home automation products that a lot of carriers have tried to launch. Some are more successful than others. Specifically in the IoT space, though, what I run into is that all of the IoT applications are very unique, and I think all my panelists would agree with me. They all have their own value proposition. They're seeking connectivity from the carrier. They're seeking subscription management. With LTE, they're going to be seeking quality service with each subscription management, so one service will be prioritized higher than the other. But the overall common need that I'm seeing is, and where some carriers are beginning to expand into, is you have your data hosting or your big data analytics, but making sense of that data with like Deep Blue or Predix, for example, are areas of opportunity that new partners that are coming in and launching services require either from a carrier or from a third party. It's amazing to me where you ask these IoT developers how much data they're sending on a monthly basis, and then what are they doing with the data other than creating a pretty graph, right, to deliver the immediate ROI. What is the second side of that business model that they're missing, and really getting into predictive actions. So.
Yeah, Brian, if I could follow up. So if you're an operator, you can't do everything, right? So what have been some of the bets that Sprint has placed in this area as compared to some competitors?
Right. So specifically what we have done in the IoT space, first we go off and we find best-of-breed partners. So some of the partners were up on Yoshi's slide, and we look at those from an MVNO perspective, like companies like Numerex and Wireless and Core and Aris. They all have unique value propositions that they're taking into the IoT space. So we build the infrastructure behind the scenes to make that happen. So that's the IoT and MVNO side. In the private label, so where Sprint has a platform and we label that as Sprint Command Center, which is our IoT platform. In those areas, we are making investments to enhance that platform such that data analytics are done in that platform. So you don't have to connect to a third-party analytics provider, or you leverage the open APIs that are in that platform to connect to that third party. So those are some of the areas that we're moving into.
Great. So Ian, China Unicom, obviously a very large provider. I'm curious, China Unicom Americas, first of all. Tell us what's involved there, and maybe talk a little bit about what you guys are up to.
Okay, I'm Ian Hu. I'm the manager for the Pacific Northwest region of our global enterprise team in China Unicom Americas. And just a show of hands, how many heard of China Unicom? Wow. So we have the right audience here. Because it's like, when I'm out in the Pacific Northwest, of course, Amazon, Microsoft, they all have us. But even like Tableau, which is a big data analytics, Tableau is not that familiar with us for some reason. So we are a China-based company in China and as one of the free carriers. And then we expand global because the platform we build on the fixed line side is like we build all the submarine fiber optics cable worldwide. So we just finished Brazil for the second pop right there for the Olympics. And we are in Middle East, Russia, every continent that we have presence there. And Americas means like North America, so US and Canada. And we are opening Brazil office soon, China Unicom Brazil. And in terms of the IoT and big data, these are two things I think you're interested to talk about. IoT, we started out with being the back-end supplier for Jasper, which is a Bay Area company by our team. And turns out Jasper to be very successful in IoT very early on. And now they are part of Cisco, got acquired. And we actually built the back-end automation for the SIM and procurement. And also introduce all our roaming partners. We have over like 200 in the world. So, and AT&T is the one here to help Jasper to launch out initially. And with that, we are actually now promoting our IoT backend platform to all the IoT business out there, which is, I think, it will be almost like the next wave. You see how the first when I get out of college, at that time, people start an ISP, don't even know what they're doing type, getting modems, building servers. That's the time of the revolution, so IoT is coming. Yeah. And big data actually follows that. We just announced a partnership earlier this year with Telefonica, which is one of our shareholders also, called Smart Step. So it's analytics with Huawei building all the stuff together. And ultimately, the big free benefits is like, first, you understand your customer better by collecting all the data, and then you can have a new product serving them. Let's say the old days when you have cell phones, PCS, I think, Sprint, previously I worked at. And ultimately, it's the data plan that people want. It's not just the voice minute. So you need to monitor where they're browsing and everything, so that way you know, okay, they need Uber all the time. So then put Uber as in front of them all the time. So that data will be critical to serve our customers and the next product we can release. Second will be cost savings, because we make the whole system transparent enough that we can be efficiently enough to serve them efficiently and cost effectively to reduce that. And last but not least is to really be able to set out to be ready for the platform, so we can actually be taking advantage when the next wave comes. So then we compete actually kind of with the OTTs that way.
Okay, great. So let's talk about revenues. I'd like to start with, we've got one enabling vendor and 3 service providers. So Jack, I'd like to start with you. Can you sort of compare and contrast the use of big data within the telco vertical? I assume you work in many other verticals as well. So maybe compare and contrast where telco is at with these capabilities, both in terms of building broad horizontal capabilities and then leveraging them into a vertical or leveraging them into some sort of revenue generating engine, which is our topic today.
Well, I think in general, we're in the early innings of big data, but telco is near the top. I mean, we look at ad media, telco, financial services as being further ahead than others. That said, I think we're in this transition point. When we think of analytics, we think of sampled data, or we think of collecting it in some sort of a data hub or a data lake. And it's fast moving to focus more about the data in motion. And not the data in motion is separate, but how do you look at data in motion and deal with it in its entirety? So that blurring between data in motion and data at rest, so that you understand that infrequent signal is actually part of a much longer trend, and acting on that can drive revenue. Uber, for example, recognizes the importance of that and the importance of a converged platform that kind of combines that and drives this event-based processing. So I think we're going to see event-based processing that has the analytics as part of those steps, that is working on the data regardless of its in motion at rest. So extending that to when the data is first collected to act on it.
And we had a little discussion about that earlier, real time and how non-real time and what's the difference between the two. And obviously that's very important in telco. So, so with the 3 service providers, Yoshi, maybe you can talk about, it seems to me one of the problems operators face is that they're very big to begin with. So you have to have a big number in a business case to generate some interest, right? In the location-based business, it's pretty easy to get to 10 million. 100 million is a little tougher. A billion, where it starts to get interesting, is very, very tough, right? And all of these businesses, and maybe you can add them together and they grow. SoftBank's been growing very large businesses in telco and web and sort of that next generation. What are the big revenue generating opportunities? When does it come, and how do you build a business case that maybe starts small and then grows over time? SoftBank has the long view, right? But at the same time, there's the quarter-to-quarter view as well.
Yeah, it's a very good and tough questions. Yes, still telcos revenues come from legacy telco business. That's a point so we are facing. So as a nature of business person, we SoftBank keeps the current business revenue, but so we are challenging to another business model. So let's say, so that's why we are focusing on several verticals for low-gain hanging through a proof of concept to involve enterprise customers. So we have 507 enterprise customers. So that's a big question. Maybe it's in the next couple, 3 years or 4 years, we are getting some success story for each vertical, each category. So after that, so I believe the business model is expanding rapidly. So that's why we are focusing on next 3 years. We have good practice for each vertical. That, so apart from revenue, yes, apart from revenue.
Yeah. So Brian, same question. I know Sprint's under, and you're sitting next to your owner there. So
Yeah, we're cousins, right?
Yeah, exactly.
And so, yeah, I think you can broadly say, and you could look across the industry and verify this. To your point, when there is a B or an M behind the business, multiple M's behind the business case, right? The carriers tend to go deep, and where Sprint went deep is in the connected vehicle platform for Chrysler Uconnect, right? So we built that platform, we architected it, we monetized the data that's coming out of that system. Did something very similar as a proof of concept in smart cities with the city of Kansas City and leveraging PinSight.
yeah.
So those are some very targeted examples. Now, the problem but opportunity with IoT is as you pull back and those numbers reduce, then carriers tend to go more horizontal, right? So you leverage partnerships with big data. I'm sorry, with analytics companies, and we're making investments there. And you bulk up your core service offering with your branded platforms. Now, also, you could look at some other carriers. They've actually acquired companies that were typically on the device and service side in telematics and are building portfolios there. So, yeah. So I think that's generally the approach we take because. With the smaller, more fragmented ecosystem, the revenue is good on a per device basis, but there only might be a couple thousand or tens of thousands per company. So you tend to provide a broad hosted platform, either global SIM or hosted data.
Yeah, can you talk as far as China Unicom and horizontal capabilities and then vertical opportunity? Where do you see it?
We actually kind of build the platform out first.
Yeah.
So it's kind of like that's important because, to be honest with you, you don't see a lot of IoTs today in like everything we work yet, but it's coming. So that will have an exponential growth. We see that. And once you have that growth, you have way more data. So there's the data we need to capture and then the analytics behind that. Yeah. So business decision can make based on all the data you collect and interpret, so at that point. And right now we start with Jasper. It's like a platform. That's why I think mainly Cisco acquired them. And then we work with our partners, and mainly the two actually, you see the investors we have is Telefonica and SK. So Telefonica already provide us the back end, and we also open to work with all the carriers and platforms out there.
Okay. Okay. We've got about 5 minutes left. Any questions? We've got some great service providers up here. So let's leave it with this question. So, I mean, big data comes from all sorts of sources, right? what is unique or uniquely valuable about telco subscriber data, behavioral data? What differentiates the telco play in this area from other data providers? And we've talked all day, about 2 days, about how to take advantage of it, but I'm curious from your point of view, what's the unique advantage that should be taken care of? John.
So there's a couple things. One is location information, incredibly valuable. And then you combine that with having a better view of their behavior, right, from the consumer side. So that's really important from a B2C. And then on a B2B, the fact that it's ultimately about the connection. It's about these event-based services and having those be able to extend regardless of where you are, and can be occasionally connected as well as constantly connected as a way to drive applications. So I think it's the foundation, and having the right architecture of that foundation is key.
Yeah. Okay. How about one more? Well, how do telcos win? Basically, the question, right?
I
Boils down
think
to.
if I can answer that, it's like, let's say we are second in China, and if you look at subscriber base, we're way off from China Mobile, because they have 850 million, and we only have about 300 million. But actually, we won the game on the 3G when they launched, so we brought in officially the first official provider for iPhones. So all the 3G, now 4G, they're all preferably to go with Unicom than China Mobile or China Telecom. So that means if you are in early, that's how you gain the advantage. So you're in early with IoT, big data, then you might turn around, become like a more preferred choice from customers. And I've spoke with like Skype from Microsoft, and we are like a preferred phone service for them because of our service and everything. So you have to be on top of your customer's state of mind. I think that's the key.
Okay, great. So I think we'll wrap up there to stay on schedule. I'd like to thank our panel today.